Nate Alfson is an amazing teacher, but let me back up and say Nate Alfson is an amazing human, and he makes people better and he makes his students better just by being around him. He is infectiously happy. He is a go-getter. He sees good in all of his students and helps them to realize that they have the capability to achieve at the highest of levels. He is a fierce advocate, and he is such a professional when it comes to researching new methods, writing grants for his classrooms, and really taking that into the next level and collaborating well with staff for the betterment of not only staff, but really his students and our community partners as well. When I think of Nate, he is not afraid to color outside the lines for the betterment of the people that are in his life. Whether you are a friend, you are a professional colleague, you are a student in his classroom, you are a community partner, he is continually researching new and innovative ways to be able to help the people that are placed in his life. And that's one thing I do really appreciate about Nate is he's not afraid to step forward in a really professional way to say, hey, can we try this? I read about this, or I see this grant is available to potentially do this. And so he's able to come to people and to collaborate on those ideas. Nate looks at each of his individual students and says, what is going to work best for them, and how do I approach that, and how do I instill that belief in them that they can achieve through those different methodologies. And so it takes a lot of flexibility, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of intentional insight and spending time with students to really develop plans that are going to work best for them and that will help them to achieve again at the highest level possible. He looks at that as a calling and as a vocation, and he just brings great joy just by being around him. And when you think about all the qualities of being an amazing human, he just brings it all together.
She has a very safe and pleasant environment for children to work in. She accommodates all different types of learners. This is a title school. We have kids that are homeless, we have kids that excel, we have kids that have learning problems, we have kids that just are at the right level, and she accommodates all of those children. She has a lot of planning. She has everything structured so the children know exactly what they're supposed to do. She knows and has relationships with them, so she knows which children need a little bit more loving care to get their work done and which kids need a gentle push to finish their work. She does lessons that are engaging, so all of the students feel that they're a part of the lesson. Sometimes it's being interactive, sometimes it's doing movement exercises, sometimes it's just being a little silly and crazy, and the kids like that. And she's very personal with the children and their families, and that helps in their learning. She knows first grade, she knows what their developmental level is. She knows what their personalities are like because she's done this for many years, and that really helps her history, her background. She knows what to expect from students and what to expect from parents, especially if they're first-time parents with their first child coming into first grade. She also gets very up-to-date and takes classes in different teaching methods and then tries those in her classroom. So it's not always the same old thing. She looks for the new research and tries those things and tries to do things that are innovative, and again, that will be engaging to the students. She values every child that enters her classroom. She wants them to become a productive citizen. She wants the parents to feel that they're sending their children to a safe place here. She wants everybody to learn. She loves it when kids come back and talk to her. Even if they're in high school and they come back and they say, oh, I remember this or I remember this, and she remembers all their students. So once you're one of Diana Johnson's students, you're one of her students for life.
After having a conversation with Ashley, you always leave feeling happier and more affirmed about who you are. And I know she is that way with her students. If you were to talk to a middle school student right now, or a high school student, or an adult even that has had Ashley for a teacher, they would remember how they felt in her classroom. They would remember the experiences, and they would just remember how much she truly cared about them and knew about what was going on in their lives. And she's the same way with her colleagues. She knows about what's going on in the lives of her colleagues, and she just truly cares for everybody. I don't know how she makes time for everybody. She seems to have time for everybody, plus all of the planning that she puts into her teaching. She just must spend hours and must always ask herself, will this be fun and meaningful for students? she doesn't do boring when she's teaching. So she always makes lessons an experience. So students remember not just what they learn, but they just remember the experiences they've had in her classroom. Her students have adult pen pals this year, so she reached out to see if there were 25 adults that could be pen pals for each of her students. She's done things like hatched baby chicks, and she's had her students quartering soldiers by attaching little mini soldiers to themselves when learning about the Revolutionary War. When we did remote learning, she was one of the people who volunteered for the district to make some of those engaging lessons for the 5th graders in remote learning. And one thing she created and shared with us was a gratitude journal to have students do while they were learning at home. And we've continued that. Right now our 5th graders are doing a gratitude journal too. So when she thinks of those ideas that will be engaging and that are related to students' lives, she shares those ideas with us so that we can have an impact on our students as well. Relationships are what Ashley prioritizes, and she often knows what's happening in the lives of her students years after they've been out of Pettigrew. I can tell that Ms. Krotke wants her students to have fun and to have experiences. So before planning the day of learning, she thinks about what will they enjoy and how can I make this topic interesting to them.
We were at brunch one day, and my youngest daughter, who has her in class right now, she just sits down and says, "Miss Larson's so awesome." And I thought, this is definitely, it sealed the deal, that this needs to be someone that is commended for her great works. When we raise our children or we teach our children, it's like an archaeological dig, that you want to get to the treasure at the bottom without too much alteration. Our job is just to dig away the dirt, dig away the things that we all have as part of life, and that's what she does. She finds the gold in students, and she meets them exactly where they are. And I think that is a very rare thing, and my daughter wrote a letter in my nomination letter that actually said she gets in the shoes of her students. You know, we can also say getting in someone else's moccasins. She gets in someone else's moccasins and tries to find that treasure, tries to find that gold. It reminds me of the letter that she wrote in an email to her outgoing 8th grade students that my oldest child got. And it was the biggest pep rally that I've ever read. If every person had an advocate like this, that you could go back and read the letter of how much that she believes in you, then this world would be a better place. The start of the year, she has the kids write a letter of who they want themselves to be by the end of the year. And that's why I think she's so excellent. Many teachers can be kind and fun in their classroom, but she really wants them to exceed and excel, and meets them where they are at the beginning of the year, and by the end of the year has them read that letter again, just to see how did this goal turn out. And I think that's what also sets Ms. Larson as a great nomination for Teacher of the Year, as well as a great human being.
When I think of Nick Opdahl as a teacher, I think of enthusiastic, I think of positive, I think of charismatic. I think of him as someone that the kids want to be around. They feed off of his enthusiasm for his job and see his passion in what he does, and they want to be a part of it. Nick's position here is interesting. You know, he came to us from industry. He was in the construction business for, several decades, and then came to us. And what an amazing gift that has been to the CTE Academy, for him to come to us and be able to share his gifts and his skills in construction with these kids. He has real world experience, and he can really let the kids know what it's like out there and prepare them for the real world. Can you imagine building a home with high school students? You know how it needs to be done, but to patiently take them aside and say, you guys work on this, you work on this, and it's like a symphony out there. And he's the conductor, making sure everybody does just what they need to be doing. He also works with them on soft skills, which is so important. He wants them to communicate with him. If something went wrong, let's talk about it. Own some personal responsibility when you do make a mistake on a work site, because mistakes are going to happen. That is part of life, and that's okay. But he teaches the kids how you work through that. Nick could come into the building and just build the houses and just do the basic curriculum in his carpentry classes. That's all that's really required of him. He always goes above and beyond. We don't have a homecoming out at CTE, so we do kind of have a fun time at Halloween and the staff dresses up in a group activity. He's made a Flintstone mobile and had the kids build it, and that takes a lot of extra time of his on the weekend. He brought trees in from his shelter built at home to make the sides of the Flintstone mobile. He didn't need to do that. That's above and beyond. That's while building a house, 2 homes with high school students. He's done playhouses, and not just square playhouses, amazing playhouses with lofts and all kinds of stuff in them. These kids are getting an above and beyond experience when they take this class out here with Nick Opdahl.